When Harley-Davidson launched the Street 750 at the 2014 Auto Expo, they made it clear that this bike, like any other Harley, had the potential of turning into a custom builder's toy. But out of all the custom 750 concepts displayed, the urban cruiser caught my eye for its rather racy stance. And today, I'm riding something with a similar attitude.
This is the Motomiu Katanga Uno. Now this doesn't look like the Street 750, doesn't sound like the 750, but it goes like the 750 if not better. The Revolution X is quite a torquey motor and it feels eager throughout the entire rev ring. Now this bike is built around that attitude. So while the engine remains virtually unchanged, it's everything around it that makes all the difference.
The suspension does its job rather well and complements the racy nature of the engine. The Street 750 in itself is an eager motorcycle, but the Katanga has a sense of lightness and agility to it. It reflects in its design as well. It has a sporty café racer stance and hitting the proverbial ton is not a problem. The power and torque remains meaty yet linear. The bike feels stable at triple-digit speeds, and though it tackles corners better than the Street, it is essentially the straight lines where it feels most comfortable. The Katanga has an understated design, and despite being a custom, it is instantly recognizable as a Harley-Davidson. True to its cafe racer styling, it is a single-seater with a stubby cowl that looks rather good. The tank is carried over unchanged, but the fat forks make it look leaner. The custom-designed triple clamp and the chunky clip-ons add muscle to the front end. The machine parts like the rear sets and the bar mounts look well finished too. The center of attraction though is the engine area, thanks to the attention-grabbing exhaust pipes wrapped in heat tape. They terminate into a single-piece muffler that sounds good, real good. Look at this bike closely and you will notice that it has gone scavenging in various parts bins. The forks come from the night rod, the smart-looking LED headlamps come from the Harley-Davidson accessory catalog, but the tail lights come from a KTM Duke. So does the set of turn blinkers. The pegs come from a Honda XR and they have a spring retraction mechanism that was absent on the Street. This custom solves another niggle that we had with the Street. The oil reservoir for the rear brake has been moved from behind the foot peg to under the seat. Therefore it doesn't heat up as frequently, so no more inconsistent rear braking. And speaking of braking,
another addition is a twin disc setup up front. Now the braking certainly improves as compared to the Street 750, but the brakes feel a little too spongy for my liking. Up front is a new Showa suspension that is made up of inverted forks. You also get a larger wheel and fatter rubber. Even the rear tire is fatter than the one on the Street 750. So what you have is a bike that feels more crisper through the corners than its donor. In terms of the ride quality, the front feels a little cushy over slight undulations. So on mild undulations, the comfort level is quite good, but on sharper bumps, the rear just gets a little too unnerving. And that can also lead to a tank slapper on really bad undulating surfaces. But overall, I think it feels good.
Motomiu is already working on fixing the tank slappers by making use of a larger wheel and a smaller profile tire. A steering damper is also being considered. There are a few other issues with the bike as well. The handlebars are easy to reach and the front end is easy to steer, but because the pegs are set rearward, you sit in an awkward posture, where your thighs are always very close to the engine. So unless you're moving at decent speeds, you are going to end up with a slow cooked right thigh. The pegs are also set high and they tend to keep poking your legs while maneuvering the bike in tight parking spaces. But frankly, these problems are easy to overlook, and once you do, the Katanga is a bike that is much easier to live with than most other customs that I have laid my hands on. But what's with that name?
The name is Katanga and Uno. Katanga Uno. Katanga is for lion species. We thought of lion species because Harley has a character, it has heritage, it has his presence, it has its pride. So we thought of naming all our motorcycles in the name of lion species. So Katanga is one of the subspecies of a lion from Africa, which is kind of small. So the Street 750 is small. So on those lines, and Uno was my idea since it was my first. So Arjun said Katanga, I said Uno, so it's Katanga Uno in front of you.
Since most of the parts are being bolted onto the bike and none of the engine or chassis components have been tinkered with, fixing the bike or restoring it back to its street form shouldn't be a problem. The bolt-on parts also mean that you can pick and choose the components you want. I say pick and choose because the Katanga is not for sale, but Motomiu can build you one. And I recommend you look into it if you already have a Street 750. It handles better, it sounds better, and in my opinion, it looks much better as well.